Entering the top 10 for Dilly Vanilly, top 10 quarterbacks is...
It's going to be Matt Ryan.
I had a feeling.
Atlanta. Yeah, this one, I think between 10 and 11 was even closer than the gap between Kirk and Stafford. But Matt Ryan, he's proven to be a really good quarterback over the years. He had his MVP year not long ago. And over the course of the last two seasons, whether the Falcons have been hurt or they just haven't met expectations, he's still put up pretty good stats, like all things considered. He's done as much as he possibly can with that team. I am interested to see what happens, though, because he is facing two quarterbacks that I haven't even mentioned yet in his division. So
yep,
it's going to be very difficult to have him there. But he really can put up the stats. He can lead them to a good record, and I think they are going to be fighting for a playoff spot if they're healthy this year. So Matt Ryan, number 10, I think is a good point for him.
All right, so at number 9 is...
I'm going to piss some people off.
Oh, here we go. Who is it? Is it?
It's Carson Wentz at number 9.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I thought it was a bigger name. I thought it was a bigger name that might piss more people off, but we'll see where they're at. But anyways...
they're gonna be pissed off at this one because of who I have later on. So number 9, I have Carson Wentz. The reason I have Carson Wentz here, number 9, it goes both ways. He's a really good talent. He knows how to play the game. He knows how to lead the team. He is a great leader from all things that we've heard from Philadelphia, and he knows how to play this game really well. And I think he can lead the team, get them with long drives down the field and execute well. The thing is, 2 points. One, he's injury-ridden, and I think that has to play a factor into your quarterback rankings. If I want to put a stamp on of approval, am I going to pick a quarterback that gets injured a lot? He's only started one playoff game for about 8 minutes and then got hurt. So, what can I do about that?
He hasn't won a playoff game.
He has not won a playoff game in his career so far. Yeah, that's big. And they won a Super Bowl in that time. How does that work? So the second thing I have here is that there were certain games during the year I was like, you should win this game. And I know that another quarterback later on this list is the same way. And I know that they eventually won the so-called NFC East to 2019 because it wasn't a very good division. But I was just like, this should be a time where Carson Wentz capitalizes on getting it done. And I don't think that he really did that all that much, but they still ended up getting the win in the NFC East. Overall, if he is healthy, he can be a great quarterback. I just have a lot of questions about his health.
Okay, so I have a couple questions here about Carson Wentz. Obviously, you keep referring to another quarterback, which I'm not going to give it away. I know who you're talking about. I think everybody else knows who you're talking about. Carson Wentz. I think the people that like Carson Wentz a lot will say, well, he did it with a lot less. He did it with nobody. Alshon Jeffrey was hurt and DeShaun Jackson was hurt. And really, his team wasn't that great. What do you have to say to those people?
I mean, he put up heroic numbers, right? He still, was the only quarterback in NFL history to have, that amount of yards or, lead the league in yards, but not have a receiver of 1,000 yards or something to that degree. It was a pretty crazy stat. And you got to give it to him. He definitely tried. I just don't think, this whole division was not that great. It was not a fun watch, and I don't think it really stood out across the other quarterbacks that did their job in 2019. There was a lot of other main, bigger stories for me, and I just don't think Carson Wentz got that.
Okay, fair. So Carson Wentz still has some proving to do when it comes to Dilly Vanilly. Maybe a little bit higher on some other people's lists, but Dylan has him just inside the top 10. Who's next, Dylan?
He's definitely a top 10 quarterback. I will give him that. Number 8 is Dak Prescott.
One spot higher than Carson Wentz. So I will say, before you even dive into why you like Dak, why is he better than Wentz?
You look at the stats, man. He was putting up really good numbers, and I feel like a lot of people, if he wasn't a part of the Cowboys system, would look at it just off numbers and be like, this guy's got MVP caliber looking numbers over here. For many weeks of the season, we're like, this is really good stuff from Dak. He's delivering. the deep ball, which you got to like that. He was doing some really good stuff. I think the only reason I really even don't like what Dak put up in 2019 was the fourth quarter. But then again, that also has to do a lot of coaching because he was making good throws. There was a lot of different things going on with the Cowboys system. But I really like how Dak was delivering the ball. I think he got even cleaner with it. I think this was his best season since his rookie year. And I know there's a lot of talent around that team. They still didn't make the playoffs. I get that. But I think Dak was not the reason why they didn't make the playoffs, if that makes any sense. I think there was other things going on that made that happen.
Okay. What do you say to people that say Dak doesn't show up versus the big teams?
He puts up great stats against these teams. The only team
I'm just telling you comments I get.
I get it. The only game that he did not put a good stats up was against the Patriots. Okay. And even then, the field was pretty bad. It was a pretty yucky game.
I was there.
So he puts up good numbers all the time. I think the worst part of our offense last year was Zeke Elliott in terms of big production. He didn't do a whole lot last year. He didn't have that explosiveness. He didn't have this and that. And I think they were calling on him a lot, especially in the fourth quarter, that just didn't get it done. And also, I would like to point out the coaching was atrocious. So I feel like that's a big factor. And now you're getting a new head coach, so that could definitely change things up.
All right, so just give me the first name. Who is more likely to win MVP? Dak, Carson?
That is a tough one. I feel like Dak would probably get MVP because of the talent that's around him.
Okay.
Right? But I feel like if you were going off of, that may be Carson. It's a very close race,
All right. So very close between, it sounds like, your last two guys.
Yeah, very close.
Is number 7 close in that tier, or is he a little bit ahead?
I think he's a little bit ahead. I think he pushes a different direction.
All right, number 7.
It's TB12. It's Tom Brady at number 7.
Tom Brady. That's honestly, that's higher than a lot of people would have him. I think that's some respect. That's not bad. We'll hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? TB12 had a really weird 2019. The Patriots definitely were not in their groove. They had a couple of losses that if I was to pick Patriots, nah, that's not how I'm feeling. But Brady himself looked good. He just had nobody. Who did he have? Right? We're still thinking that to this day. Who? Gambrell Tompkins over here, 20, classic Patriots style. There was nobody besides Edelman, okay? And then you get in the playoffs game against the Titans, and it was a lot of checkdowns. I think this was his most checkdowny game of the season, which a lot of people were saying that about. I didn't really think that was the case except for this playoff game. That being said, I didn't really feel it from him, but now you're going into a different system. You're going in with the Bucks, who have multitude of weapons. Oh my God, the amount of weapons. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, the man Ronald Jones. It goes and on with the amount of talent that they have. Oh, by the way, Rob Gronkowski's coming back, so that definitely helps. And I know he's getting older. He's not getting any younger, folks. He's 43 when they start practicing in August. Okay, I understand that. But this man, we just saw him golf. He's still got a little bit of game.
He's got that magic.
I think he's got that magic. Plus, you're going in a new environment. This is a completely different thing for Brady. So maybe he's got that energy to go out there. Maybe he was a little sick and tired of what the Patriots were the last season. I felt like that was the case. I can't confirm that. I'm not an insider. I'm not Skip Bayless. Okay?
Where's your sources, Dylan?
Yeah, where are my sources? I need my I need people to come out here. But that's kind of how I was feeling. But I feel like Tom Brady has if you look at the throws that he was making, other than that Tennessee game, I really liked what he was doing. He was still putting up as much as he possibly could do with nothing. And now he gets something. So I think the numbers are going to go up as a result. And I like what I have him here at number 7.
All right, so TB12, many would say the GOAT at number 7. At number 6.
Number 6, I have Aaron RODGERS.
Whoa, okay. He's not in the top 5. Interesting.
He's not in the top 5 for one important reason.
And that is?
He's too conservative.
Okay.
Which is a weird statement to say. Like, don't be too dangerous, but don't be too conservative. Right?
I think you would say the same thing about Brady last year.
Yes, I would definitely say the same thing about him because he was as throwing it away as I've ever seen Brady do. But with RODGERS, like, okay, you gotta love the touchdown interception ratio on a basis of like just a number, right? He throws like 4 touchdowns for his career to every 1 interception. But the dude throws it away more than any quarterback in the history of the league. He is not going to take a deep shot that he doesn't think is going to work. So in that respect, I'm like, let's get it in there. Where's that playoff intensity, you know? And then this was a team that severely, like, overdid what they were expected to do. Like, in terms of the talent, you said this the other day, which I agree with. They were a 9-17 that went 13-3 and went to the NFC Championship game, which is crazy, right? But I think Aaron Rodgers didn't do that much. That being said, he can still make the great throws. He can still play at a great level. He's still the best quarterback in this division. There's nothing really stopping him at this moment. He can control his destiny, at least in that division, going forward if he plays well. Mm-hmm. I just want him to do a little bit more going forward because we're at a certain point where, like, Rodgers hasn't won a championship in a decade, you know? This is Aaron Rodgers. We need him to do something a little bit more to get it done. And I know it was first year with Matt LaFleur. Maybe second year we'll do even better. But, you know, I would have wished, though, I will give him in defense, would have wished the Packers would have done anything to help him out in the draft.
Yeah. Or, like, before last year.
Yeah. Instead, they haven't drafted a number 1, like, or first-round receiver since he's gotten there.
Like, this is what I'll say about RODGERS and Brady. Like, you brought it up with Brady, not so much with RODGERS. So this more has to do with RODGERS. Like you said, Brady didn't have any weapons, which is totally true, factual. But in terms of RODGERS, I mean, the guy didn't have much more. You know, maybe he had better running game, and he had Devontae Adams, who's a stud. But, I mean, outside of that, you're talking about scrap heap receivers, tight end play from Jimmy Old Man Graham. Like, this guy was doing a lot with not a lot. Yeah.
Right. He was having to do everything it could to get it done. But I also have to give it that he did have a great running back and a top receiver. So a little bit more than Brady. But I get your point.
Okay. So entering the top 5 at number 5.
Entering the top 5 at number 5, I have Drew Brees. Old man Brees. Now, him at number 4 are interesting because I haven't mentioned the quarterback that maybe people would have already put on here. He will be next. But the reason I have Brees here at 5 instead of number 4 is because towards the end of the season, we're starting to see him lacking those big-time throws, those long, deep throws down the field. He's losing a little bit of that power. But I have to keep in mind that the Saints are still a very great regular season team. He will still make the throws when those 16 games are done. So, and I know he's got a great receiver, Michael Thomas, 149 receptions. He didn't throw all of them. He did miss 5 games. But he does love having that target, just like Big Ben had AB back a couple years ago. He could still really lead the team, deliver those game-winning drives, and he's a proven winner, all things considered. He can win games for this Saints team. Now, playoffs, let's not talk about that. But going forward, he's getting older, just like Brady. He's, 41 when the season starts? So maybe a decline is inevitable, but he still needs to be put in this tier, this top tier right here. And you might want to argue with me with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and Drew, and that's a very good discussion, I think, in my opinion. But I got him here at number 5. I think he did well, all things considered.
What about Bridgewater going 5-0?
That does say something, but I feel like Brees was more impressive and did more for himself in those wins than Bridgewater. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the Saints won, but I think the Saints won around Teddy B. Drew Brees led the charge when it was the Saints, even though, what was his record? 9-3, I guess, as a result. Or no, not 9-3.
I can't even do the math in my head right now.
It would be 8-3. So yeah, he lost a couple more games as a result, but I feel like he was leading the charge and getting that Saints team what they wanted. So until the Vikings game, but it's what it is.
Okay, so number 5 is Drew Brees. Who's the quarterback that you were mentioning you thought that maybe people would already have on the list?
Deshaun Watson here at number 4.
I don't think this is very bold at all. I think a lot of people have him inside this top 5.
Okay. I have him here at number 4 for the fact that this guy is the future. He is one of the quarterbacks of the future that we're pegging him and like, wow, he can really get it done. Because we're looking at the Texans who, bad management from Bill O'Brien aside, have a lot of good things going for them. And you look at Deshaun Watson as the centerpiece. He's the leader they picked specifically in that 2017 draft. They were like, this is the guy that's won a national championship. He's a winner. He's a stud. He knows how to play all this stuff. He has the grit, if you will, if you watched that from this year's WrestleMania. He has the grit to get it done. He got kicked in the face in the middle of a play, threw a touchdown. He got destroyed by 2 Buffalo Bills players in overtime and threw the ball to Duke Johnson to almost win the game. They did get the win in that drive. So even though they blew a historically bad lead in the AFC divisional round, the defense had to play a part of that. But also, I think you're looking at going forward and you're like, man, they're I think the best team in the AFC South. If they just, like Tennessee did great. They got the AFC Championship game, but a lot of things had to go that way. And then the Colts and the Jags, I think, are distant, in my opinion, right? Like as of right now. So Deshaun Watson, he's a leader. He's a winner, as we've seen before. And I think going forward, as we're looking at it, he's got to be near the top of the rankings for me.
Yeah, I think if you want to rival anyone's highlight reel, I mean, Watson can go toe-to-toe with Lamar, toe-to-toe with Mahomes, Wilson in the highlight reel for sure. Like,
absolutely.
Like Watson makes some incredible plays that just make you say, wow. And I think that's a big reason why people say he's an elite quarterback right now, because he can simply make plays that other people can't make.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, next.
All right, top 3 are in their own tier by themselves.
Okay, so Watson's not in this tier. Interesting.
Not quite. He's the top of the last 2 we were talking about. So I would say, like, in terms of the last 2 tiers, I would say 3 through 9 are their own tier in itself. And then we have 4 through 9.
Yeah.
And then 1 through 3 are the big ones. It could be interesting difference here. But at number 3, I have Lamar Jackson at number 3.
The MVP?
The MVP is going number 3. The reason I have him here number 3, I mean, you want to talk about highlight reels? This is the man you put there. This is the reason why YouTube was invented, with putting some music in the background and having 12 minutes of one season. Not even a career, one season.
Yeah. With
guys breaking ankles. It was fantastic. He was running like crazy. He was making some really good throws. Got this team going on another level. They went 14-2, first round bye. It was looking great. And then the AFC divisional round happened, and that was a big old yikes in my book. I did not like that performance at all. He has not shown us he's a playoff winner yet. He's 0-2, and not only is he 0-2, these performances have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
The Chargers one was historically bad until about the fourth quarter, and then did a little bit better, almost got them back in the game. The Titans one, they were just down from the start, and he did not get any spark going for them. So that was a negative. But if we're looking at the stats, I mean, clearly he was the MVP last year. He rushed for a crazy amount of yards. Got to give him that. Really like what I see out of him going forward. And you gotta love the fact that that Harbaugh has that confidence in him. He's like, you are going to get the keys to this car. You drive it however you want to, and clearly he loves driving it around in circles and all this other stuff. But the reason I have him here at 3 and not number 2 is because I need to see him win in the big moments. Those playoff games kind of soured me from putting him in number 2.
Okay, I think that's fair reasoning. He's an electrifying playmaker, still very young, getting better. Maybe he'll be number 2 or number 1 next year. We'll have to wait and see. At number 2?
At number 2 is Russell Wilson, the man that has gotten 0 MVP votes throughout his career, which is absolutely insane. The man does everything for Seattle. If this man didn't play for Seattle, what would their record be? Like, I know they have good talent, but he does everything. Like, in terms of putting them on your back and strapping them up to the rocket, this man does more than anything else, in my opinion. He makes the great throws. He plays at an extremely high level. Even his crazy runs where you're like, this guy is dangerous with, going to lose the football over here, and he knows how to do it better than anybody else. He's either going to throw the ball away, not run as much anymore, but he can still make an incredibly great throw outside of the pocket. He's historically great at that. Even though he got even more receiver talent with DK Metcalf last year, and they had a great connection, him and Tyler Lockett are still at a great level. He knows what he's doing across the entire field, and he loves to spread it out, which is something that I always appreciate. And even though, Lamar, he was in the MVP race for a little bit, and then Lamar just took off in the second half of the year, I still think he played at a great level. And, they got a playoff win against the Eagles, which it is what it is, but we've seen what Russell Wilson can do. He steps up Seattle to a whole new level, and I got to give him props for that. I just think he's done a little bit more than Lamar right now, obviously, because he's been in there longer, but that's why I got him here at number 2.
What can Wilson do to be number 1?
He's got to win the Super Bowl, man.
Again.
Yeah, he's got to win the second one.
Yeah. And maybe an MVP, too, that would help.
That would definitely. Oh yeah, that would probably also get you. Well, that would put you in the conversation. Yeah, I would agree.
All right. So at number 1, I think we all know the answer.
Andy Dalton. No, I'm kidding.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I think you got there. It's Patrick Mahomes, ladies and gentlemen, at number 1. Why? Do I really need to explain? Like, I don't know if I.
I think do you think it's close between Wilson and Mahomes, or do you think it's clear?
I think it's clear, but it's like not extensively far. You know what I mean? Like it's like a here kind of ratio. Like I have Mahomes here, but there's not like
that's mathematically accurate, by the way.
Yeah, pretty close. But it's not like Wilson can't move up, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
But look at Mahomes' resume here. Okay, we're not going to include his 2017 because he played one game, right? But 2018 throws for 50 touchdowns. Goes 14-2, wins MVP, has all these amazing stats, goes to the AFC Championship game in pretty much his first year as a starter, loses to the Patriots who win the Super Bowl. Like he puts up a pretty good resume on his own in just the first starting year. Second year, plays really great again, leads that offensive drive, does get hurt, but comes back. A little bit of not an underdog, I would say, but not as talked about Kansas City team going into these playoffs because they had a worse record. They were 12-4, and there was other teams like San Francisco and Baltimore being more talked about. But then they get into certain scenarios and they play really, really good. Of course, the Texans' comeback was historic. It was a fantastic win for them. AFC Championship game, they were down 10-0. They come back and win that one. Oh, and how about the Super Bowl when they were down 10 points in the fourth quarter? You think Patrick Mahomes is going to let that happen again? Not a chance. He goes out there and wins the Super Bowl and wins Super Bowl MVP. Wasn't the greatest performance through 3 quarters, but the fourth quarter, he led the drive, got in the Super Bowl, and what could be the first of many rings for Patrick Mahomes. He's got a bright future ahead. The Kansas City Chiefs have a bright future ahead. Andy Reid finally got that championship he's been asking for decades. And he's got that star quarterback that he's been wanting. Because he's had good to great quarterbacks over his time, right? Donovan McNabb over his time was great. I think he really did well. He had some great times. Alex Smith in his prime was pretty good. Not the top tier, but pretty good, just like McNabb. Here, he's got the top-tier quarterback. He's got the man for the job to win it, to get it done every single year. And I'm not going to say they're going to win every single year, but they definitely have a shot every single year that he's there. So, Patrick Mahomes is number 1 for me.
I can't argue with that, Dylan. I can't argue, man. Do you want to just go down your top 10 real quick for the people?
Yeah. So 10, Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan. Sorry, Matt Ryan at number 10. 9, Carson Wentz. 8, Dak. 7, Tom Brady. 6, Aaron Rodgers. 5, Drew Brees. 4, Deshaun Watson. 3, Lamar Jackson. 2, Russell Wilson. And number 1, Patrick Mahomes.
All right, there you have it. Dilly Vanilly ranking every starting quarterback in pro football. If you enjoyed, spike the like button, subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL videos and rankings just like this. And, of course, comment below your opinion. Who's your number 1 quarterback? Is it Mahomes? Is it somebody else? Give me your top 10. Give me your entire list. Let me know in the comments, and let us know what you think of Dilly's list. Also, Dilly, where can they find you on Twitter or on any social site if you want to follow?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at the Dilly Vanilly. I'm gonna try to tweet more. It's just we're going through all this stuff going on right now, so there's no sports. How can I talk about that? But I'm gonna get more active on that. Especially y'all can follow my trip to Texas Tech as we get closer to that move. And then you can follow me on Instagram, Dylan_Via727. Those are the 2 things you can find me at where I'm on the most. So there you go.
All right. Thanks for joining from Mitch and Dilly Vanilly. Peace.
Peace.